Oh, God, I'm fucking dying.
Not again. And you have a booger in your nose. Oh.
Wait, is the recording button on?
Oh, shit, I clicked on it. Whoops. Oh, we're recording, boys. We're recording, everybody. Hello.
Episode 26. Suplex Biddies. We're back this week without Andrew Hunterman. Andrew Hunterman is currently scaling a mountain in Mount Kilgore, I believe he said. So he'll be back next week, hopefully. But Diego and I are here. My camera's a little bit different tonight. Things happen. You gotta adjust. We're recording on a Monday night. As you can see, go Raiders. It's just where my money is. But let's talk about wrestling. Let's get back into wrestling. Suplex Biddies brought to you by Couch Guys Sports. Please make sure you go use the internet one time. Go check out all our blogs, all the other podcasts within the network. Go check out everything that we got, including the sponsor for tonight's show, which is the Couch Guys Sports Shop. Go to couchguysportsshop.com. We have hoodies. We got these comfy joggers that I'm telling you, it's fall. You're going to want to have them in your life because they are probably one of the comfiest joggers I've ever had in my entire life. 100% would recommend. And much, much more. And there's more stuff that's going to be added to the shop as the fall season progresses. So you're going to want to stay tuned for, let's say that again, couchguysportsshop.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As you can hear, Diego is with me tonight. Diego, how are you?
What's up, my man? I'm glad to be here. Episode 26. Can't believe that we're on episode 26 already. And man, with fall season rapidly approaching and those comfy hoodies that Couch Guy Sports has on their store, as well as those comfy joggers, like if you're a man and you're ready for fall season to sit on the couch, watch wrestling or watch football, that's the stuff you get. And I'm pretty sure the boys hooked it up with some discount codes in there too. Maybe some free shipping as well. So for those of you listening, yeah, as Chris said, definitely check out couchguysportshop.com. Take care of yourself. Take care of your special someone as well. There's plenty of stuff there for the ladies and plenty of stuff there for the kids as well. So make sure you take care of your family. Make sure you take care of you. And while you're at it, sponsor a small business out of Boston instead of the outrageously out of touch people like, Skip Bayless, Dan Shaughnessy, the list goes on and on. It's horrifying. I'm already scared for what's next in the next 5 years as we transition from generation to generation.
This is the best. I love this. Everything. We're sitting here, and Diego and I have talked about this store for a while now. We're excited to see where this goes, and we're excited to see what you guys have in store for us as well. So please like and subscribe. Trust me, leave comments on Suplex Biddies. We are always looking to hear from our fans. So let's dive into tonight. We're going to start off WWE, specifically NXT, talking right now. Samoa Joe is getting stripped of the title. Samoa Joe is supposed to be on Monday Night Raw tonight to talk about NXT. He has suffered an injury that is making it so he will not be able to compete. So with that being said, now the fatal four-way that was for the number one contendership on NXT this week is going to be for the NXT title. That is between Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Tommaso Ciampa, and LA Knight. So first and foremost, Diego, I want you to discuss this with me. What are your thoughts on Samoa Joe getting the title relinquished? Do you think it has to do with the injury? Do you think it has more to do with the direction that NXT is going? What are some thoughts you have behind this?
Yeah, sure. I think the injury sells it to the public so that there is a backstory in their mind to believe on, such as, hey, Joe got injured and therefore he needs to be stripped off the title and give it to somebody who can compete. But I think the idea was there all along. I think with the transitional management moves that WWE has been making lately, whether it's roster releases or some shifting of management around, I think that storyline was just bound to be the next thing. And now, especially with Vince heading NXT, it just makes sense that he doesn't want the old stuff that was there already. He just wants to build from the ground up and see how it goes for him. So starting off with the very first move of making sure that Samoa's off the title and allowing for 4 of the potential heads of NXT to battle it out and see who can really be the new babyface of NXT.
I think my big thing is I really do think it is an injury this time around. I would love to be able to see Samoa Joe versus any one of these 4 competitors for the NXT title, because I didn't think Joe was going to hold the title long. I think he was the perfect guy to get it off of Karrion Kross to make Karrion Kross still look really strong. Even though he's moved up to the main roster and he's kind of weird now with the gimmick's kind of weird. Just doesn't have Scarlet Bordeaux. It just doesn't make sense to me all around. But I think personally, for me, I think it stinks to see this happen, but I am excited for one of these 4 men to now be the face of NXT, being the NXT champion, because I think this is going to be the NXT champion for months to come. So let's dive in. Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Tommaso Ciampa, LA Knight. Who do you think wins on Tuesday night?
I gotta be honest, I have a funny feeling that it could be Tommaso Ciampa. I think LA Knight has gotten a decent push as it is already. Oh my God, why am I brain farting already? Who are the other 2 that you mentioned?
Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly.
Pete Dunne has gotten enough of a push as well. I mean, we saw it all last year. We saw it in the interim this year as well. Kyle O'Reilly has already been there. Doesn't really need that much of a push right now. It just needs to develop the current story that he has. So I think the ultimate underdog right now is Tommaso Ciampa, and I think it's time for him to rise to that occasion and see what he can do as the next face of NXT.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the clear-cut favorite here is going to be Kyle O'Reilly, only because easily. O'Reilly's been in the main event as of late. I keep fucking dropping my pens. Jesus Christ. And I do think that he is a guy that Vince likes, and I think that he's a guy that could easily be like the Sami Zayn when Sami Zayn was the big champion on the brand before Kevin Owens and all that stuff.
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But I do think Kyle O'Reilly gets it done here because I can see him feuding with, again, Pete Dunne again. You know, Pete Dunne has his Rich Holland, has Berginoni now by his side. I think Pete Dunne's going to be a top heel on NXT now. But Kyle O'Reilly, I think, is the favorite to win this. LA Knight, I can see moving up to the main roster as of like the draft per se. Very good on the mic. I think Monday Night Raw could definitely use him.
Yeah.
And Tommaso Ciampa is just anytime you put Tommaso Ciampa in a championship match, you think he's going to win. This aspect, I think he is very much so in the running for it, but I think at the end of the day, Kyle O'Reilly is going to be hoisting the title on Tuesday night on the first new episode of NXT. Now, real quick before we move on to other topics, are we excited for NXT with this new change?
I am and I'm not. I am just to see what possibilities may Vince McMahon have in his mind to develop the product and to give it a new face. By the same token, I'm not, because it's Vince McMahon, and we've seen how shows like Raw and SmackDown have kind of fallen by the side when he's in charge. And I think at the time, NXT was really picking up a lot of steam and in a very good way. It was headed towards the right direction. And now to switch gears, it's more of like you just crash and burn, and now you're just hoping for a rebirth. And I think it's just the timing altogether is very unfortunate. On top of that, it doesn't line up as well with the fact that just 3 weeks before his announcement of taking over NXT, you had a massive layoff of people and let go of a bunch of people that were from NXT that were also growing with NXT. So I think there's going to be a lot of issues chemistry-wise between the roster and management. I think if they allow for that to flourish and show in itself in the actual live show, it will captivate the audience, because it'll be much of like, back in the day when you had John Laurinaitis in charge of Monday Night Raw, or when you had Baron Corbin, just as a reason, in charge of the show, and how people wanted to oust management. I think that would be an exciting twist. But other than that, I'm not sure that I'm really all that sold in having Vince McMahon run the show. I'm just not sure that I am.
To me, I think my only big issue is if you look at what has transpired over the past few months for NXT and WWE and everything like that, it hasn't looked good publicity wise. But for me too, I think a big thing that NXT is going to miss is they're going to miss a guy like Adam Cole, who went over to AEW. He was the face of NXT during the Wednesday Night War. The Wednesday Night War, by the way, which NXT won once out of however many Wednesdays they did with AEW. And it was because Adam Cole was in the main event every single time. Adam Cole was the reason why NXT was keeping it close with AEW. Now they don't have him. What's next for them? You know what I mean? So they're building stars and they're looking good, but at the same time, I want to see where this goes. And Bruce Pritchard to me just doesn't have it. He's also ready for now 3 shows, which is as long as don't get me wrong, as long as these TV deals stay put, they're going to be fine no matter what. It just stinks for people who enjoy watching the product. Yeah, because it's now going to be again another Vince McMahon show.
That's exactly it. And I mean, you brought up a great point too. What's his name? Writing 3 shows now. Like, at some point you get yourself burned out, and at some point you're gonna fuck up. That guy should not be writing all 3 shows all together. There should be a fair and healthy split so that each show can flourish on their own and be able to have an actual identity, which it's exactly what's lacking right now in WWE. SmackDown, the identity right now is this heel that Roman has been running for a long while now, of fall in line and acknowledge me. Raw, the heel has been, Bobby Lashley with I'm the Almighty. NXT, I'm not sure that there has been a real authority or real identity there, other than just a barnyard explosion of real good talent being poorly managed. That's all I got. Like, I don't know. Personally, as a WWE fan who has been following the product for about 20 plus years, I'm deeply concerned. I'm feeling that's like this is the end of WWE coming up very shortly for us.
Well, listen. The only thing I'll say about NXT is they had their big heel, but now he's on the rival show. So what does that take place? Plus, they also have another 2 big names that contract expire after this year, and there are rumors that they're not renewing said names. And if said names go anywhere else, they're going to blow up. Yeah. And you know what 2 names I'm talking about? I'm talking about Kevin Owens. Because if Kevin Owens goes back with the Young Bucks or anything like that as Kevin Steen, he's going to go through the roof. He's going to go through the roof more than when Kevin Owens was the Universal Champion. That's how good Kevin Steen is. Kevin Owens is great, but WWE doesn't allow him to be to the level that he is. The other one is his best friend, fucking Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is a genius. And having him get some sort of freedom away from all this, man, I don't know. I'm sitting here and I kind of hope they leave WWE. And that's what stinks. As a WWE fan, you don't want to see people leave WWE, but at the same time, you want what's best for those wrestlers. And Bryan Danielson has said it best. AEW does what it wants for not only its fans, but for its wrestlers as well. They don't sugarcoat anything. There's no roll-ups. There's no nothing like that. It's a start to finish product. There's no bullshit about it. WWE, man, it's just you never know what to expect. Now, speaking of never know what to expect, we got a return Friday night on SmackDown. Finn Balor, the Demon, is back. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because Demon Balor is fantastic. If you have never seen the Demon Balor before, go watch all the stuff in NXT and go watch him versus Bray Wyatt as the Demon. Very, very fantastic, and he's great. The bad part about this is he's going up against Roman Reigns, who is the top dog on SmackDown, and it just doesn't look like he's going to lose that title at any point. Now, this is where I struggle. And I want you to do the same with me. This reminds me so much of when Seth Rollins was the champion and they had the Hell in a Cell match, him versus The Fiend. The Fiend did not need the title. The Fiend did not need the title. He just needed good matches. And that's what he put on. But when you do the idiotic DQ in a Hell in a Cell match, that's where you lose the fans. And this is my biggest thing. The Demon is so good. The last thing it needs is to lose to Roman Reigns. Yeah. And that is my biggest fear, is that it loses to Roman Reigns. So unless there's some sort of fuckery they have behind it with Brock Lesnar coming out and costing the Demon or whatever, I don't know what to expect. And I'm generally nervous about this.
I see two things, and it's almost gonna sound like I'm in favor of WWE at the moment when I'm really not. But I have two ideas in mind. Number one is the Brock beef versus Roman. It's there. It's mainly just for physicality wise, because I think Brock is legitimately back so that he can fight Bobby Lashley. But that fight won't be until it's in a way where it's brand versus brand, like we used to have it in the past. Remember when SmackDown used to show up to Monday Night Raw and interfere with their show and so on and so forth? It almost feels like shades of that bound to happen again, which honestly wouldn't be a bad idea. It would actually be entertaining for once this year. But with that physicality between Brock and Roman, it almost feels like it's a perfect setup so that the Demon can do his damage and then become the champion. And then it'll be more of like, okay, Brock, you screw me out of my title. And okay, Roman, you're a cocky, arrogant prick. I want to fight you as well. So it'll just develop more of like a storyline of those two fighting more often. It almost seems too as like Brock legitimately wants to be back almost full time, which frankly, at this point, it's heavily needed, because for somebody of his stance to come back, every 4 times a year, maybe every other paper show that's a major hit, it's more of like, what the hell is this guy doing here? We didn't need him. The product's been doing fine, but if he comes back full time, it gives WWE some legitimacy to actually fall back onto. And when they're looking for sponsors, it'll actually be able to smoothen out those conversations. Because right now, let me tell you, WWE looking for sponsors right now is going to be very rocky, especially after the track record this year with the amount of releases that they've done and the zero confidence that they've given their fans. No fan right now is confident in the product. I don't know if one fan that is confident, but I think if they do play the cards right with this Demon versus Roman, as well as Brock beef and Roman, there is potential there for a very good storyline. However, it's WWE. You can't give them this much credit. They will mess it up, and they'll probably do something like Hell in a Cell, where the Demon just loses its value.
I surely hope not, man. I really don't. I'm just curious to see how they play this out. Because don't get me wrong, this is going to be a reason why I'm going to watch Extreme Rules, is this match right here. If they didn't do the Demon, Finn versus Roman, to me, it was just such a good match. Because we've seen them fight before, and we've seen Finn beat Roman before. I can't, besides this past, no, when was the last time? Besides the last time they fought, I can't remember a time before that Roman actually beat the Finn. So I think, for me, it was very curious to see how they were going to play this out. Now with the Demon, they add this whole other factor where it just makes it so Finn can't lose, but you can't have Roman lose. It's such a lose-lose situation here. I'm so curious on what direction they're thinking of going in with this moving forward.
To be frankly honest, too, I mean, yeah, the Demon was the champion once and was the initial champion. But after that, there wasn't really anybody that challenged him in a way that actually took the title away from him. There really wasn't. In fact, the title was basically just handed over to Roman, more of like, here, do something with it and do the best you can with it. So if anything, now seeing the Demon back in his full capacity and showing how good he really is versus what he had to show in his first round with WWE and the upper roster, I'm all for it, man. I'm really excited for him to be able to win that secondary chance and do what he can with the product.
Listen, I've been predicting that Roman was going to lose the title since WrestleMania. So I'm waiting for it, but I just don't see it happening here, unfortunately, just because it's WWE. And it's not them shoving Roman down our throats. It's more so of them trying to get their guy one of the longest title reigns in the modern era.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because so Monday Night Raw is taking place tonight in Boston as we speak. It's going to be starting in about 45 minutes from our timing right now, which is 7:15 on Monday, September 13th. And it's funny because I was listening to the radio and they were saying how Charlotte Flair was going to be at the Cricket store in Revere on Broadway. And I was saying to myself, normally I'd be such a fan. I'd be in line and I'd probably be like the very first one in line just to get my autograph and my picture with her. But she's exactly like Roman Reigns. It's been a overutilized product that's been so shoved down our throats that at this point you just no longer interested. And I think the storyline with Roman right now, while it's a great storyline, it's a very good product. I think it's just so overutilized and overextended at this point that it's just become more of like, oh, here we go again. Fall in line. I'm the tribal chief. Like you already know the lines more than the actual characters know their own lines. It's just gotten to that point. There's just no excitement. There's just nothing. So I think with a potential change here of guard, I think it would actually draw some excitement as long as it's not a dragged out storyline like it usually is.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see on this. Brock's beef with Roman, real quick, kind of interesting.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Their segment on Friday night where he looked at Heyman and goes, "You didn't tell Roman I was coming."
That was hot. That was hot.
Oh,
I was like, oh shit.
I was like, this is everything I need it to be. I think their rivalry, if they prolong it, I think they can have a solid rivalry. And for me, again, if he's still the champion at Survivor Series, this is the perfect time to fight to them. Crown Jewel's another one. I think that's going to be part one. And then they're going to do it again in Survivor Series. And that's Survivor Series. Roman's going to say the same thing again. This time, instead of Brock Lesnar coming out and John Cena before then, to who's going to be Roman, it's going to be The Rock, and we're going to lose our shit.
Yep. But here's the one thing that's actually kind of, it's been in the back of my mind since SummerSlam. And it's, in a weird way, it's starting to become more of a potential truth to happen than anything else. We knew that John Cena was probably not going to win that match at SummerSlam because of his movie that he needed to go out and film and take care of.
I still thought he was going to win.
However, now Brock Lesnar's back onto the product. Brock Lesnar wants to beat the living crap out of Roman Reigns until he has no potential of getting out. John Cena wants to come back. Are we going to see a rematch of that time when John Cena went to Suplex City 16 times just so that he could compete for his 17th title and make history?
That's a good question. I don't know. It all depends on what.
Like, just everything is tying up all together in terms of timing. And I'm just like, oh, no, here we go again. We're about to fuck up another storyline.
I don't think so because I just don't. The timeline in my head just doesn't make sense. I understand what you're talking about, but like, I just think that they're not going to just keep doing these part-time versus part-time matches right now. I think if it was a WrestleMania, like if it was WrestleMania season, we were right around the corner. I could see it potentially, but right now where we're at, I think we're all right on it. I don't think we'll have to worry about it.
Okay.
So it's enough WWE talk. Let's do some AEW talk real quick.
Please.
Our AEW guy is not here. Like I said, climbing mountains in Mount Kilikamara or whatever the fuck kind of mountain that he's climbing. Can't believe it. That kid with those badass knees telling me he's climbing mountains. I couldn't believe. I almost fell over when he said he wasn't coming.
But I mean, he's got the support system and then calves. Like,
listen, those calves
have the mountain in itself.
those are two meaty men slapping meat. You get that joke, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
They're baby biggies.
So AEW is putting on a special television premiere or event, I should say. Not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. It's called Grand Slam. It's at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Right now, there's already 2 matches confirmed. We're going to just touch upon those matches really quick and then give some potential thoughts on who somebody like Kenny Omega could be fighting, who someone like Miro could be fighting, any debuts potentially, this, that, and that. Real quick, first match, we saw it come to place last week on Dynamite. MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr., which I said to myself, and I was like, okay, so MJF and Chris Jericho is finally done after all these months. Jericho's still wrestling. What is next for our friends? And he came out and he just verbally abused the town of Cincinnati, Ohio, including Brian Pillman's sister. And that led to that rivalry coming together. And now we're going to get that match, 1v1. Now, good for Brian Pillman Jr. He's getting a match against what AEW has as their future talent, maybe even their so-called it talent, as I go dark, per usual.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Wow, it's fucking bright now. Jesus. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think we get the classic MJF win here, or do you think Brian Pillman Jr. upsets him?
No. I think we'll definitely get the classic MJF win here. I like Pittman and all, but MJF just has so much momentum going for him right now. It'd be stupid. To kill that.
I agree with you. I think MJF gets this done here. I'm just curious to see what's next for MJF because this is like a little speed bump in his next big rivalry. I'm waiting to see what that rivalry is. I want it to be like Adam Cole or something like that, but it's not going to.
I have a funny feeling I know who it's going to be. And this is going to drive the fans even more bonkers than they've been with the return of Bryan Danielson and CM Punk.
Who's it going to be?
We have something that we want to close the show with.
Oh, you think it's going to be that? See, I think low-key, after CM Punk takes care of Team Taz, it could be CM Punk versus MJF.
I think it's too premature.
You know a thing or two about premature. So we both agree MJF's going to win there.
Yes.
The other match is confirmed right now. It's Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is back from filming the Big Show. And he's going to be getting his rematch against Malachi Black. Last time these two fought, Malachi Black embarrassed Cody. We get round 2 of embarrassment, or is Cody putting up a better fight this time?
I think Cody's going to put up a better fight this time. I think with so much going on at AEW right now, I think we could potentially see him adding more onto that and exciting the product even further.
I think it's going to be a much better match. And depending on what the card looks like overall, I could get a better understanding for it. But for right now, I think this gets at least 15 minutes. And I think Cody Rhodes sneaks out a win here.
Oh, okay.
So the last thing that we're discussing on the show tonight, there's been rumors that have been popping around on a potential Bray Wyatt AEW debut date. So the Arthur Ashe show is the 22nd. Do you know where they are the following week, Diego?
Not on top of my head, no.
Rochester, New York. Do you know who the hometown of Rochester, New York is?
Isn't that for Bray Wyatt?
It's not. It's the late, great Brody Lee. So there are rumors that Bray Wyatt could be debuting in Rochester, New York.
The Wyatt family reunion, baby.
The cult of Rotunda, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where this rumor swirls a little bit. Now, if Bray is able to debut, AEW will be the spot for him. But if he's not able to, the 90-day clause, there are reports and rumors that he might actually be going to TNA. Which, if TNA gets the guy like that, that's huge. And I'm going to say this, and I don't care what anybody says. That's on the level of back in 2006 when they signed Kurt Angle. That is right now where they are.
What a throwback moment.
That is the level of when they signed Kurt Angle in 2006. That is what I think could happen in TNA if he signs with them. Now,
I think you're definitely onto something there. I think that's a valid argument.
Give me your thoughts here. Do you think TNA is going to be the spot for him, or do you think even if he doesn't debut in Rochester, New York, that he's still all elite? What do we think for Bray Wyatt, aka William Rotunda, as I believe he's going to be known as?
Yeah, so I think it was clear in that interview about 2 weeks ago that we saw from Tony Khan, like he said, AEW's not done yet. We got a lot more coming your way. So obviously that was signs of, okay, CM Punk is coming and Bryan Danielson is coming. But what else is coming in the rear view mirror? I think at this point, it makes sense for Bray Wyatt to be introduced into AEW and be brought into as an introduction at Rochester, New York, where, Brody Lee was, hometown for, and it just makes perfect sense. I think from there, we could potentially see, the Rotunda thing that you mentioned become even more of a true thing as they also kind of work on potentially bringing Braun Strowman as part of the addition. So I think AEW has far more of a potential here. However, I personally would not discredit at all those TNA rumors at all, especially as you mentioned it. Like if they get somebody like him to come into the company at this time, yeah, it's gonna be an incredibly wild ride for TNA here. It's gonna bring a huge future for them because Bray Wyatt's an entertainer. He's very good at what he does. He's got great stories to develop. And if managed correctly, this guy will give you everything he best can to make sure that your company is as successful as possible. It's definitely shades of Kurt Angle in 2000 whatever it was. 2006. That's what I thought too, but I don't know if it was 16 as well or whatever. But definitely TNA is an aspect to definitely keep an eye on. It's not to be discredited. It's not to be undermined. Definitely not to be discounted as a factor. Like, yeah, no, they could easily have a big moment if they sign this guy, and it could be not just a spark of the moment that lasts 2-3 days. It's more of like, this is going to be the future for TNA.
Listen, I think TNA is going to get Braun Strowman or whatever his independent name at the moment is, no matter what. But I think Bray going there as well, doing the call to Rotunda, I think he could start basically kind of a main event Mafia-esque where it's not the big names, like they just got like Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, Booker T, but they're names within the Impact group that he could start to build up. And I think that would be beneficial for him. So for me personally, I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, man, him and AEW would be great, but him and TNA, I might have to start watching again. Because if that's the case and he goes there, I might be watching 5 days worth of content, which for my eyes might not be the best. But if I see William Rotunda in Impact, I'm gonna watch. Just like Kurt Angle went to Impact, I watched.
You have to watch it. I mean, how do you not? That's gonna be, like you said, it's gonna be probably the most prosperous thing that could happen to TNA.
All right. Any final thoughts before we conclude episode 26 of Suplex Biddies?
Oh man, I'm so not looking forward to NXT tomorrow. I mean, as it is, I hardly look forward to it being on a Tuesday. I was more excited about it when there was like the days gap so that it could allow me to process what happened in the previous show. But as it is, man, I have zero faith in Vince McMahon making this a promising product. I've seen what he's done so far, and for me as a fan, I said it before earlier in this episode. I'll say it again. I'm actually heavily concerned as to the future of WWE.
As you should be. But again, what happens? What can you do? So, from Diego and myself here, and from our missing co-host Andrew Hunneman, please again, thank you to Couch Guy Sports. Make sure to go check them out. Go use the internet one time. Blogs, podcasts, everything else in the network. Also, couchguysportsshop.com. Please go check that out. Go get yourself some joggers. Go get yourself a hoodie. Go get yourself some shirts. For your missus, or if you're a missus for your man, go do it, because it will be beneficial to help a small business like us. So, with that being said, I am Chris Jones. That is Diego Galvez. No, Hunman's still not here. We're signing off for episode 26. We'll see you next week for episode 27.
Absolutely.
Peace.